people might say, oh, I'm more depressed, I'm more anxious and more panic, simply means the anxiety and the panic I once buried is now surfacing. Same with anger. The anger I once buried is now surfacing because the current energies, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I want to explain to you why the world around you feels pretty different but looks exactly the same. I want to explain to you why you're feeling very tired right now. You're being drained right now. But in a way, that's actually beneficial, because what's being drained from you is not your life force or your energy. It's the old matrix. It's the heaviness of what you previously suppressed. So we're all used to being drained. We called that normal. That was how we existed in the false matrix. Our energy was permanently being drained away from us. But right now, it's a different kind of tired. Some will say exhausting, but others will actually experience little bouts of feeling more energized, more replenished. It's okay if that's not you. It's coming as your body gets used to. And this is the big thing. Woo. Yeah. Those are the hardy-dars. I love them, but they are so loud. As your body gets used to, as your body gets acclimated to this new state of being. But let's talk about what this is. This is an unplugging from the false matrix and a reconnection to a place you haven't lived for a very long time. It's called the true matrix, the organic matrix, or the divine matrix. Any of those names will do. It's the same place. It means back into the original God source creation template. More information is in my playlist called Cosmic Origins if you want it, but that's the briefest part I can give you. You're moving from the false matrix into the true matrix. That's a transition. We also call it ascension. Ascension we think of as a moment, and yes, it is the point wherein there is only the divine matrix. There is no backwards and forwardsing. There is no visible remnant or trace of the false matrix. That is the moment of ascension. But right now we are ascending, and we are therefore in transition between the two matrices, and at times you're going to be in the false matrix, which is going to be so difficult because everything is pushing you, priming you, propelling you, catapulting you into the true matrix, everything. And then, of course, you're going to have those moments where you just find, wow, there's more peace in this moment, or there's more ease or more tranquility, or if I just surrender into it, there's this very exquisite but unknown way of being. So we have these moments of experiencing ourselves in both, and that's absolutely to be expected. But right now, what's taking place for you is the body is being catalyzed. Now, we're used to being the driver of our ascension, and I've often spoken about this. I've often spoken about how ascension happens to you and it happens through you, but you don't and you can't make ascension happen. But we've been behaving as if we can or should, like I'm going to make myself ascend. No, you're going to allow ascension. And as always, nothing's changed here. Ascension takes place in the body. To ascend your consciousness is the easiest thing to do. Come do a meditation with me. There's many on my website. That's going to ascend your consciousness. But to ascend the density of the body so that the body matches the consciousness, well, that is what we're in the process of doing. What triggers ascension is God's source consciousness. We could also say the universe. We could also say cosmic energy. Triggers the galactic plane in which we live. It excites the photonic light. It excites the cosmic radiance around you to such a degree that when your body interacts with it, your body begins to calibrate itself to your home resonance, your home frequency, which is the organic matrix. So it's kind of like this. You've been in this false matrix, really, and this is a harsh word, but it's the truth, trapped in the false matrix. Now, the walls, also known as the veil, the walls that surrounded the false matrix and kept you encapsulated very nice and neatly in the illusion and in the forgetfulness of the false matrix, those walls have pretty much crumbled. I've spoken about the collapsed veil, and I will link those videos for you in the description box below. So that veil or wall or separation between the false matrix and the organic matrix, they're not there anymore. That means your brain is still being fed with the lies and the illusion of the false matrix. Very confusing, but your body's getting a different story. So now there's this, whoa, what's the truth? There was so much illusion in the false matrix, and you, each individual, you had to shed your own personal illusions. And truth was such an obscured thing, obscured from view. You really had to look hard. It wasn't right there in your face, but it is now. Right now, truth is directly in front of you. It is being shown to you. There's this beautiful effortlessness, if you allow it to be. There's this beautiful effortlessness that says, you know, all I have to do is be present. Everything is being done for me. Ascension, if you think about it, is a process that is, in a sense, automated. Your role is to allow. I don't know if it's being picked up on the microphone, but I'm just aware that the birds outside are so loud. They're chirping. It's just, in case you can't hear it, it's beautiful. I have a little slice of heaven happening in my ears right now. So, and by the way, that's exactly what the true matrix is. It's the return to your heavenly state, which is the return to connection. Heaven is when you are connected to the organic matrix, to God's source consciousness. Hell is the disconnect. Because you now know, okay, this is what's taking place. It's taking place in my body, but the illusions are crumbling, and my brain, which is also the ego mind, my brain was very plugged into, because for all of us this was the case, into those illusions. So now there is this learning to think for yourself, learning to discern for yourself, learning to experience life for yourself. And that means things that you took for granted to be true are not necessarily true. This is allowing you to connect to a whole new level of depth inside of you. So what's taking place energetically right now, why you're getting so tired, it's an interesting phenomenon, is the body is being recalibrated to align to the true matrix. That's taking place. And in the past, when there were these very big shifts in energy, do you know how it would occur? We'd have a big shift and then a nice rest, and a big shift and a nice rest. And in that rest, you could almost catch your breath. You could just take a little breather, and you could get a moment, that lull, the lull in between the influxes. That was the moment where you could feel, quote unquote, normal, where you could feel like this is okay. You know, I'm going to survive. I have moments where I can employ a coping mechanism which keeps me sane, which allows me to step into that place that we've called normal, which was never normal, ever. But it's okay. We used that word to describe it. We used normal to describe suppressed and disconnected. That's really what normal was. But it was nice because it was familiar. Now you don't have the luxury of those lulls anymore. So you're having influx, waiting for the lull. When is this going to pass? It's not. Your body's going to adapt to its true state of being. I released an energy update. I think it was actually a little snippet. It was a YouTube short, now that I think about it. And I said, stop blaming the energies. You can't say, oh, the energies are heavy, hard, intense, difficult. The energies are light and beautiful. The energies are melting the density. You, however, have work to do, and that is to allow the melting of density to occur, to not stand in your way. Don't be burying your head in the sand saying, oh, I can't wait for this to pass. Instead, rise up and go, God, this is confrontational, and it's confrontational with self, not with anybody else. I'm getting to confront me, my illusions, etc. I'm getting to see me. That's what you get to say, and that's the truth. Think of it like this, will you? Think of you standing in front of a mirror looking at yourself. But when you did that, you thought you were seeing a true image. Because in the false matrix, it all looked very real. It was, however, totally illusory. It's the equivalent of this. You know when you go to a fun fair and you look in one of those weird crackers mirrors and you suddenly are very short, very tall, or you're elongated and stretched out in a weird way? When you were looking in a mirror in the false matrix and you saw what you said, this is what I look like, this is me, that reflection that you saw back is the equivalent of that crackerjack mirror from the fun fair wherein your image was totally distorted. This is why we all had and still have distorted images of self. Body dysmorphia, etc. comes from the body not being calibrated to truth. The body being out of harmony with, out of resonance with the true self. That's coming back online right now, but you've got to do a lot of allowing and give yourself a lot of grace, give yourself a lot of compassion and a lot of ease. For example, you might want to just sit under a tree for 5 minutes and close your eyes and resist the temptation to do, scroll. Just give yourself 5 minutes of consciously closing your eyes. I'm not even asking you to meditate. Just consciously close your eyes and be with your breath. And yes, I know that is actually a meditation, but a lot of you are going to go, oh, that, meditation feels like work. It should never. It's a natural state of being. It's what meditation should be. It should be you in your everyday waking world, that you should be your meditation. So take those 5 minutes, sit under a tree, or heck, sit on your bed and imagine that you're sitting under a tree. Do what works for you. But the connection to self is going to be your only point of sanity and saving grace. And what I mean by the connection to self is that conscious, present connection. Great way to do that is with the breath. Very simple processes like the Deep Relaxation Trilogy that you find on my website. This is simple stuff. But man, it's powerful. Man, it aligns you to your body, to your higher consciousness, and most importantly to your soul. And that's what you need right now, the connection. The foundation of your ascension is right there. It's at your ability to connect with your higher state of awareness, with your presence. That's going to be your sanity. So there's not going to be the normal lull, the so-called normal disconnect, disengage. Thankfully, you'll be grateful for that one day. So many people say, when is it going to get easier? Thinking that easier means the non-confrontation, in other words, the non-triggered state that the universe is automatically giving you, that's telling you, that's giving you the cues to ascend and unplug from the false. People are saying, when is that going to stop? It's not. It's only going to get better. But you've got to start seeing that that is the better. That challenge of these energy influxes, which is happening on a minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day basis. This is your gift. And you are alive to receive this great, beautiful, supportive gift right now. God Source Consciousness is helping you do the work. But you've got to meet that energy halfway. Suppression, repression. Number one, that's what creates depression. So anything you resist, suppress, push away, deny, that's really the foundation for depression, which is also where anxiety comes from, because you've got something trapped and stuck inside of you that you know is not you, doesn't actually belong to you. You want to get it out, but you can't because it's entangled in your core identity. So this is the seed of depression and anxiety. Now, all of that stuff right now is being catalyzed to the surface. So people might say, oh, I'm more depressed, I'm more anxious and more panic. Simply means the anxiety and the panic I once buried is now surfacing. Same with anger. The anger I once buried is now surfacing because you don't have the luxury of those lulls anymore where you could feel so-called normal and disconnected. You're now going to feel connected, which means nowhere to hide the emotional debris that you didn't deal with in the past. Nowhere to push down into anymore. Nowhere to suppress down into anymore. Control is a very big theme that we need to talk about. We could see from 2020 globally, look at the governmental control, look at the governmental overreach. Nobody liked that. Well, most people didn't like that. They said, I don't want to be controlled. That level of external control was your cue that said, okay, individual human being, you don't like the global control, that's your cue to look at where you are holding control within you, because you cannot dismantle the external stuff until you've dismantled it internally. Where am I controlling? And we all did this. See, I'm not wagging a finger in your face and saying, oh, you're a control freak. I'm saying, congratulations and well done. You were a very successful, conditioned human being, successful to the false matrix, conditioned to being in the false matrix. You did a superb job. That's what you came to do. We all did. We came to lose ourselves so that we could find ourselves. We came to forget so that we could remember. And in the remembering, we leave a trail of light, by the way, for others to remember and to lift themselves out of the trapping of the false matrix. So you did a super job. Control is one of the most important ways that we made the abnormality of the false matrix normal. We controlled how we felt. We meted our emotions, which essentially meant we denied, resisted, and pushed down. So we controlled our emotional responses, which backfired because we landed up being controlled by our emotions. Think about this. Anger that you suppress lands up controlling you. Because what occurs now is you're going to have uncontrollable rage, because all of that anger is now not in front of you where you can see it. When you can see it, you're in charge of it. When you can't see it, it's in charge of you. When it's suppressed and buried, it's going to come out when you least expect it. When somebody cuts in front of you in the traffic and you notice, whoa, that response that I just went into, that was a little bit unreasonable. That was a little bit irrational and a little bit out of my control. Where did that surge of anger come from? It came from all the justified anger. I call it righteous anger, which means anger that you're allowed to feel, anger because something really was unjust, righteous anger or rightful anger that got buried and suppressed. But anything that got buried and suppressed in the false matrix will need a moment. And I really do mean this when I tell you, a moment of release. Because many of us are under the false impression, oh boy, it's going to take many tissue boxes of tears and pretty much a lifetime's worth of therapy. No, you're living through ascension. You have a gift right now. The universe is catalyzing you. You just allow safe passage out. Let the purging be. And if you don't, you're going to find your life is kind of like putting out a fire every single day, every single moment of the day. It's kind of like crisis control. That's what it's going to be like. Why? Because you're going to keep trying to suppress everything, because that's how we controlled. We gained a level of power in the old matrix, false matrix. We gained a level of power and a level of sorely needed normalcy by controlling what we felt and suppressing it. Not realizing, of course, the consequence was that we were going to be controlled by the very thing that we were trying to control. Boomerang. Now, there's release taking place. Yes, it brings everything to the surface. But no, that doesn't mean you have to analyze it. In fact, I ask you, please, at all costs, avoid the analytical process. Be in the state of allowing. If ever you're going through the couple of weeks ahead of you and you're going, what am I meant to be doing? It's so overwhelming. Yeah, it is overwhelming. Of course it is. How can it not be? Everything you suppressed is surfacing. Do yourself this great service and remind yourself, oh yeah, the one thing that I could do to really support me right now is to allow. And even give yourself the visual of all of the stuff dripping out of you, pouring out of you, flushing out of you, releasing toxins, debris, emotional suppression, not through the brain, not to be analyzed, not to get caught in the story, not to feel how it got woven into your identity. Because I need to tell you, everything you suppressed landed up there as a part of you. What were you doing with all of the anger and all of the pain and all of the trauma? When you suppressed it and literally compressed it, you impacted it into your core identity. Now, the core identity is being freed to be who you actually are, which means releasing who you are not, releasing the stories. So please keep the analytical, linear thinking away from the purging process that you're going through, from the emotional release process. And this happens like instant, too fast for the brain to even keep up with, which is a great gift. Something that you can do to support yourself immeasurably is understand that the opposite of control is not loss of control, it's power. But a great way of accessing that power that I'm talking about is to think of it like this, that you're in the process of exchanging the control that you once had over your emotions and over your life, the control that the false matrix was exerting upon you, so you were controlling and also being controlled. The opposite of all of that is authenticity. That's what realigns you with your power. How authentic can you be? And the more authentic you allow yourself to be, the more humble. So authenticity and humility are great friends. They come as partners. The more authentic you get, automatically the more humble you're going to be. Humble as in non-ego. Humble as in the true authentic self. Humble is going to open your heart. When people say, how do I open my heart? Get humble is the answer. But it's hard. It's hard to say, okay, well, how do I get humble? Take it at its most basic form, authentic. Get emotionally real and honest with yourself and just be where you are. Do that one thing today. Give yourself authority to just be you. Perfect, imperfect, doesn't matter. Happy, sad, doesn't matter. Just give yourself the permission to be you as you are, where you are, without pushing yourself to be something that you're not. Be you fully. Practice this. Be you now. Practice. Be here now. In presence now. Again, practice. So here's the beautiful thing I want to invite you to do. I want to invite you to imagine and or feel. So this is a different way of connecting depending on who you are and where you are. Some people are going to do really well with the visual. That's why I say imagine. But others of you are going to not be so visual and not be so inclined to use your imagination. And you're going to just feel. And this is my favorite way of working. Just feel that surrounding you is this field of consciousness called the cosmic field. That's the universe's intelligence. And it wraps itself around your body, almost like a cloud of consciousness. It's a very safe, warm, comforting feeling. And as you feel that blanket of consciousness or that cloud of consciousness wrapped around you, imagine yourself just being held by that infinite cosmic intelligence, by that infinite love that is the universe itself, bracing itself for your return, bracing itself for you re-embodying your divine truth. You, at one point, embodied the ego. So you know exactly how to embody. At one point, you embodied the ego. That's how you navigated the false matrix. Now, you're learning to embody the true self so that you can navigate the true matrix. See? False self, false matrix. True self, true matrix. So the universe is so excited to feel your return and holds a field of support around you right now as you hear these exact words in this precise moment. That support surrounds you and you can let yourself just sink into it. I love you and I want you to have this experience of connection with yourself, with the universe, so that you can feel what you are restoring and returning to. I'm going to be back really soon. I want to talk to you more about 2023's energy. Do like this video, please. That would be very supportive. And please share it if you feel others would benefit from it. Lots of love, everyone. Bye-bye for now.